I figured I'd do another 10 albums today, like I did yesterday. I'll try not to say the word amazing like 100 times. I'm not used to doing off the top of my head stuff. I'm trying to get comfortable with it. I think I said like amazing like 100 times when I was doing the video yesterday. So yesterday I picked 10 albums at random that were kind of related to my book in some way. This is my anthology book that's coming out May 1st, and it's got over 400 songs that I've written over the last 20 years of my life. So inside the book, I've put like a lot of playlists of artists and albums that influenced me over the years. And that's kind of what these videos are for. Leading up to the release of my book on May 1st, I'll just try to make videos related to my musical life, I guess. And hopefully I get more comfortable speaking off the top of my head like this. I'm not used to doing this. Sometimes I do go on rants like this, but when you know you're being like on video and it's going to be shared with people, it's like your thought process is kind of weird. It's more because you know you're on camera. That's why reality television is not really reality television, because people know they're being filmed and stuff. So nobody's acting naturally. It's one of those type of deals that I'm trying to become more comfortable just speaking off the top of my head like that. So today I'm just going to talk about 10 more albums that are included in my book and just hold some special emotional connection to my songwriting life and just my appreciation of music. I could have picked a lot. Like I only have about 100 or so records right now, but it was tough to pick out 20 that showcase all the different genres I like. Like I wanted to pick a Mahalia Jackson to put in like gospel music too, because even though I'm not a religious person, I like gospel music, and there's a lot of songs I write in that kind of gospel, blues, and soul type of sentimentality. And yeah, I know I'll never be able to sing it, but I just like that type of music, man. It's hard not to get emotionally connected to a gospel album. Like they're just powerful, powerful musical moments. And so I picked 10 kind of quickly today, and hopefully it leads people to something new that they never heard of. Most of these artists are popular artists, and I don't think any of them are really going to surprise anybody or anything. So I'll just get started with it. I picked this up on an estate sale. This is Brian Eno, Music for Airports. Of course, everyone kind of knows this album, right? If you like ambient music, then, you've probably heard this album at some point. I never really liked ambient that much. My definition definition of ambient music before I got into it, really in 2020, was just like the X Files theme song and stuff like that, like club music. Oh, so once you get into Brian Eno and stuff like that, it leads you up on a huge like soundscape, and so many artists that you've never heard of that just come out of the woodwork. Like Laraji was connected to Brian Eno. I'm a big fan of now. And then you get into modern stuff like the Dead Texan and Juliana Barwick. I almost picked her album because she's probably my favorite ambient artist. Even get into Sigur Rós and bands like that. So ambient music is a big part of my life now, at least, especially since 2020. Terry Riley, Laurie Spiegel on the electronic side, all that ambient electronic stuff just takes you to a different mentality as a songwriter, and it's inspirational. It leads you to write songs or try to write in a different fashion, like I said in the other video. So yeah, this album's amazing, man. There's a reason people always list this on like the best ambient albums of all time. It's just an amazing album. There I go saying amazing again. Um, yeah, Brian Eno, look, it's intimidating to get into him because he has a huge catalog from, I don't know, from what, like the 70s, I guess. And yeah, he's got so much music to listen to, soundtracks and collaborations. Even Harold Budd, I learned of him from Brian Eno. This led me to so many albums. Harold Budd stuff is like amazing. There I go, saying amazing. I'm gonna put a counter like at the end of this video how many times I say amazing. My brain just keeps repeating that word. But that's pretty much it. I had to put an ambient album on a discussion like this, and I do list all my favorite ambient albums within my book. I probably listed like closer to 70 or 75 albums, and a lot of them are recent ones from the last few years. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard this album, so there's not much more I can say. I think I made a little quip in my book that they should play this album in grocery stores and Walmarts instead of like the cheesy rock and roll or cardboard cutout country music that they play, just to put people in a better frame of mind. If you go into a Walmart and they're playing this, like everyone's going to be like much more peaceful when they leave and go about their day. So they should put this in grocery stores. They should just play this album on repeat, like at every grocery store, every Walmart, everywhere. Just play this on repeat and people will be happier. All right, this one's kind of way different. Again, these aren't in any order or anything. I had to pick a rap album, and this is the only rap album I have in vinyl. And it's probably my favorite, Deltron 3030. It's probably my favorite rap album just because it was kind of just, I don't know, it hit me out of nowhere. I had no idea what to expect when I heard this. I think I heard it because somebody said it was like the Gorillas. And yeah, it's got similar soundscapes and similar textures and production value. This one's more political. It's got some weird political stuff. Um, it's pretty popular. I'm not the only one that's talked about this album, I'm sure. I've never actually heard this on my record player because right now I don't have a working system. So I don't know how it would sound on a record player, but I had to buy this album just because it was I probably heard this the first time maybe a decade ago, and then it didn't really hit me that much. And then I heard it again around 2020, and after that, and it kind of grew on me more and more. It was a grower for me. Like now, it's definitely like in my top three rap albums. I would say maybe The Chronic, this one, and I don't know. Those are probably the top two at least. And I do include my favorite rap albums in my book, maybe 40 or 50 I picked. It wasn't easy to do because I haven't listened to a lot of old stuff and new stuff. Like there's a lot of rap I've never really listened to. I never went down the Tupac discography. Even Notorious B.I.G. I never really gave it enough time to grow on me, I guess. So rap's a little bit harder for me to discuss as a kid who went to Catholic school and grew up in the suburbs. Like listening to rap and hip hop is kind of weird, I guess. But I do enjoy it. Like I wrote maybe 4 or 5 albums that are rap albums over the last 5 years, um, which was not something I expected to do in my life. I wrote at least 4 rap albums with kind of, violent lyrics and stuff. And it was a fun experience. Somebody who usually tries to write folk music and stuff like that throughout his life to try to go down the rap rabbit hole and try to write like more, puff my chest out and be like, oh, badass rapper, dude. It was kind of unusual, but if it hits you, man. Whatever inspiration hits me, I'm going to try to embrace it. if classical music hits me when I'm like in my 50s or 60s, hopefully I can make some classical music. Back to the ambient. Right now, I'm so tired of words in general after writing this book and writing all these songs with lyrics. And a lot of these songs were first written as instrumental without any words. So in the future, I just want to write instrumental stuff, man. I'm tired of words. Words suck. Words do suck. People take stuff out of context. They try to put context that's not there. And they try to, you know, write your narrative for you. And when that happens, it's just like, why even bother writing stuff? I just want to make ambient music and instrumental music like Ball Maria and stuff like that. I don't know if I'm saying the name of that band right, but they're really good. Just instrumental ambient music is very interesting to me. But back to the rap stuff, yeah. I never thought I'd be writing rap songs. I still get ideas from time to time. Some lyrics will pop in my head, and I'll be like, you know, that would be a cool rap song or whatever. And this is definitely one of the albums that led me to that place in my songwriting brain. So check this one out. Every song is really good. And this is the one Stevie Wonder I had to pick was Innervisions. Maybe the album I've listened to the most over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I tried covering Higher Ground when I was like, I don't know, in my early 30s. When I was putting some of my albums together, I remember spending like a whole day trying to cover Higher Ground and putting it in like my own styling and stuff. I've always loved this album since I heard it maybe a decade ago, but especially since 2020, this was like a part of my DNA totally. I want to cover Higher Ground again for my musical DNA series. So I'm going to try to do that maybe next week or the week after. But yeah, I don't know every Stevie Wonder album. I know he had that like trilogy in the 70s with this one, Talking Book, and that other one. I do own those records, but I haven't listened to them as much as this one. Even songs in the Key of Life. Like I like this one better than anything. Every song is just perfect on this album. I would say it's in like my top 10, top 20 albums of all time. So I knew I had to talk about this one. And yeah, Stevie Wonder, he's still kicking ass, man. Is if I had to make like the Mount Rushmore of American male songwriters, it would be Stevie Wonder, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, and I forget the other one. Those are the Trinity, at least. Stevie Wonder, Tom Petty, and Bob Dylan. I guess I put that as the trilogy. And the fourth one could be interchangeable, really. I'm not sure who I would pick there. I think I picked John Denver. I kind of grew as a more John Denver fan recently, too. I have a whole chapter in my book about John Denver and a whole Spotify playlist about John Denver. But I didn't pick any of his albums this show today. But yeah, Stevie Wonder, you know, what else can be said about Stevie Wonder? This was an album from my youth. Very popular album. This probably sold a ton of albums. Rancid, Out Come the Wolves. Yeah, Southern California punk rock again. I already talked about Face to Face, but I had to pick this one too because I already did a musical DNA for this song, Olympia off this album, Olympia, Washington. And I could have picked like four or five songs to do because all of them are kind of just with me in my musical DNA like that. You know, I'm sure a lot of people have a similar reaction to this album, the nostalgia, growing up with this. And I was probably in high school, I guess, when it came out. I guess I was in high school or starting high school. And yeah, whenever I was going on a job or something, it was always punk rock like this. Face to Face, Rancid, No Effects, Bad Religion. Pennywise was probably my favorite out of all of them. Pennywise, About Time, like all those Southern California Epitaph records. That was the soundtrack of my youth pretty much through high school. So yeah, Operation Ivy, Rancid, they're classics. People are going to be buying this album, generations and generations. Operation Ivy, one of my favorites as well. I just don't have any vinyl by them. It would be tough to pick. If I did have the Operation Ivy on vinyl, I don't know which one I would pick because they're both like in my top 5 punk albums, I guess. So yeah, this is amazing. Every song, you could go listen to this album today and it's still just amazing songwriting. Even if you hate punk rock, you think it's all just like blah, 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 blah. The bass lines on this album are amazing. Amazing. The vocals, just the songwriting and the playing and the musicality. They're just absolutely brilliant songs. Like, it's pop punk, whatever you want to call it, ska punk, whatever, the ska revival. It doesn't matter. They're just awesome songs. So listen to this, play for your kids because it's amazing music. Amazing. This is kind of going in a way different direction, but thanks to YouTube, actually, for some reason, the YouTube algorithm led me to Pentangle. I don't know, 2020 time. Never knew this band existed. And they're my favorite folk band. They are insanely, insanely talented, man. The bass playing is some of the best bass playing I've ever heard in my life. The guitar playing is just masterful. The lead vocalist will just gut you because she's amazing. And I think she still has her own band. But yeah, I have to thank YouTube for this one. Sometimes I complain about the algorithm because the algorithm will lead me to bad places, conspiracy shit, and like just stupid videos to waste my time on. But sometimes the algorithm will lead you to a band that becomes like your favorite band. And I got instantly obsessed with this group. I don't know where they're from exactly, the UK somewhere. And I guess it's like Fairport Convention, like that type of folk music with the ethereal female vocalist who just sounds like, I don't know, instant bliss. Like it's just that type of folk music that's just like Renaissance fair almost, but it's good. Like I'm not a Renaissance fair guy, but it's just great music. These musicians are just crazy talented. I even had to look up some of their solo stuff after I heard this band. I got completely obsessed. I had to buy like all their albums on vinyl. And yeah, I would say they're a perfect folk band in my opinion. This is from like 1968, and it's just the best folk music I've ever heard in my life. So if you don't like, if you never heard of the Pentangle, whatever they go by, yeah, go look it up on YouTube and watch them play live because it's insane how they connect to one another. Yeah, this is another indie favorite that everyone will know this by the album cover, but I had to include this because when I found this in my youth, maybe 2006 or 7, something like that. I never heard of Neutral Milk Hotel, but nobody ever told me about them. None of my friends got me into them. I found this just on eMusic. It was a website I signed up for where you could download like 4 albums a month or whatever. You get credits, like that type of thing. It was a good service. eMusic. It's probably still around. And when I first signed up, I guess one of their articles led me to this. So I downloaded this and I downloaded Gillian Welch Time the Relevator on the same day. And yeah, that day was like one of the most important days in my musical life, because this album still lyrically and musically, production wise, I don't care if people make fun of this album, all the stupid memes and stuff. It's in my top 5 albums of all time, probably. And it's weird because you think I would listen to On Avery Island and check out other Neutral Milk stuff. And I think I listened to it once or twice, but this one just holds a special place for me. I don't know. It's a concept that is really weird with the Anne Frank thing, and his vocals are crazy. I try to sing along to these songs, and it's just like impossible. I'm going to try to cover a song off of this week for my musical DNA. I think I picked Holland, whatever that song's called, 1945 maybe. Holland, whatever it is. I'm going to try to do a cover of that song this week because I knew I had to pick something off of this. Maybe I could sing that one if I slow it down and practice it enough. I know I can't sing Oh Comely, and even like the title track to this, in Aeroplane Over the Sea, the waltzing one. I don't want to try to cover songs that I can't do justice to. I listened to the Patty Griffin song again, and I'm like, man, I should have practiced more because I was like forcing out my vocals, and it didn't sound good. But hopefully, the musical DNA series. Like, I don't have to say much about this. This album's been talked about to death, but I had to include it because it made me feel like I found this out of the haystack because I never heard of it. And because of eMusic, I just happened to download it and just fell in love with it. But my musical DNA series, I'm hoping that I could watch it in a couple of years from now and I'd be like, well, this is how I was, how nervous I was, how my breathing, I couldn't control my breath. And I was so uncomfortable with performing stuff. Hopefully, like in 6 months from now, a year from now, I can go back and be, noticeably improved in my own performance. That's what I'm hoping, at least. Can somebody get better in their 40s from where they are now? I don't know. Probably not. But you might as well try, I guess. So, yeah, if you watch my Patty Griffin, I wasn't happy with how I was projecting my voice. It was very forced. And I only did that like in 2 or 3 takes. I was like, I just want to get this song out and talk about it. But yeah, hopefully with the Neutral Milk, I can practice it a little bit more. This was one of the albums that was a big part of my screenplay writing. For my screenplay, Rinse and Repeat Part 1. This is the Kinks. Lola versus Powerman. Or Powerman, Lola versus and the Moneygoround. I'm actually not even sure how you say that now. I thought it was Lola versus the Powerman and the Moneygoround, but I don't even know anymore. Anyway, this is my favorite Kinks album. I haven't listened to every single Kinks album because they have a ton of albums, but this one has Lola and Eat Man and all kinds of stuff. If you read my screenplay, Rinse and Repeat Part 1, I include maybe like 3 or 4 songs from this in my screenplay. I'm not saying I'd be allowed to use it, but this album pretty much was the main inspiration. It became it, at least, when I wrote that screenplay. And yeah, it's still an album I can listen to all the way through. On Spotify, there's like a special version of it, whatever it is, 30th anniversary, whatever the number is. And it has a lot of B-sides or whatever you want to call it that didn't make this album. Like, I plan to do one of the songs, God's Children, for one of my musical DNA album, or my musical DNA series. I want to pick a song from this. I think I want to pick that one because it's like such a happy song. I don't do a lot of happy songs. Sometimes you have to pick some happy just folky songs like you're prancing through the wilderness. So most likely I'll pick that one. I think it's called God's Children. Look this up on Spotify or YouTube. There's a lot to explore within this album about the music industry and um, what they were going through with their record label, I think, and just as a band and all the politics involved. I think this album could work today just as it did in the 70s. It's my favorite Kinks album. A lot of people pick the other ones. I forget what the other popular ones called, but yeah, they're all good. The Kinks, maybe they're kind of underrated still. It's not like Americans don't know them, but I think they were like banned from America for something stupid. Maybe they didn't get as popular because of political stuff. I don't know. But this album's awesome. If you never listened to this, like the whole thing, go check it out because I think it's the best songwriting from their catalog that I've heard. I had to pick this one too. It's another Southern California punk rock that I listened to on cassette maybe like 1,000 times as a teenager. I had this on cassette, and I wish I saved my cassettes, man. I had like Nirvana, Bleach. I had Smashing Pumpkins, Siamese Dream, and I had this one, Stranger Than Fiction. And yeah, this was a big album for me. I think I knew Bad Religion from maybe Recipe for Hate back then. I was probably like 13 or 14. And probably some of my friends played Recipe for Hate for me, and maybe some older Bad Religion. But this was the one I got first, so I had to share this one. The lyrics are amazing, amazing, amazing. I even read some of Greg Graffin's books. Um, Recently, he's got maybe 3 or 4 books on Amazon. I haven't been through all of them, but yeah, he's like a professor or some shit like that. He's a really intelligent guy, and he likes punk music. He's been playing in a punk band since he was like a teenager. So, you want to talk about like poetic America's greatest poets? It's got to be, you got to include Bad Religion, the lyricism and everything. You got to include it, like to do it that long and to explore so many topics, and I don't think it gets much better lyrically than some of their stuff. I saw them live, I think only once in Philadelphia, maybe 15 years ago or so at the Electric Factory, I think. And yeah, they're still going. Like, I don't think I don't think they're done making albums. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep going and make like 10 more albums. 'Cause they just have so much material. It's crazy. Like maybe there's a couple albums that people don't like. I think they made like the science fiction themed album back in the early days, and maybe some of their newer ones. But it's tough to be around for 40 years and just to consistently put out amazing songs like that. Even I forget what it was called, but the album that they released last with the Paranoid style on it, it's just as good. That whole album's amazing. I forget the name of it now. But it's got to do the Paranoid style, whatever the album that was. Yeah, it's just as good as anything they did from the 80s and 90s. I think this is 94. I had to pick this just because this was the one I rocked on cassette like over and over again. And I still love it. It's not just nostalgia, like it's still killer songs. I almost said amazing again for like the 50th time. And there's only 2 more. This is St. Vincent. I think it's just a self-titled album. The one with Birth in Reverse and Prince Johnny, I think. I think that was a song. I tried to cover that song too. But yeah, she's amazing. Her her guitar technique and her technical skills are just, yeah, she's one of the best guitarists. I don't think anyone can deny that. Go watch some of her videos on YouTube where she's playing live, and she completely just destroys the guitar, and she can play anything. I liked her new stuff. This was the one that really got me into her, though. I think this was her best album overall, and it was a big inspiration for me. This one and the Deltron album and OK Computer, which I would have shared, but I don't have OK Computer on vinyl. Um, this one, St. Vincent, and the Deltron 3030, and Radiohead OK Computer. Those were the three albums that led to my digital incineration album. Just the themes in it and the way I wrote those songs. Digital Incineration was an album I wrote in 2020, 2021, dealing with COVID stuff. And every song I kind of picture a different artist playing. So there's a song on there called Digital Incineration that I picture St. Vincent singing on it and like playing guitar and whatever, producing it. That's kind of how that album was in my head. Every song, like I pictured Kanye or Coheed or Snoop Dogg or Courtney Barnett or John Legend. Every song, I picture somebody new adding to it. Almost just like, it's like a compilation album of all my favorite artists or something. I don't know, man. It's the weirdest album I've written because it's like rap songs and it's a concept. I don't want to go talk about this album again because I already did that. Yeah, this album is huge in my life. Huge. And I don't think there's really anything I would criticize about anything St. Vincent has done. I haven't listened to every one of her albums, but probably at least at least once. I probably checked out every one of her albums at least once. This one I've listened to probably like 50, 60 times. And it's an album you can go front to back. You're not skipping anything. And yeah, she's a great musician, like great songwriter. She produces her own stuff. And I mentioned Tom Petty. He would be on my Mount Rushmore of American songwriters. This one might be a little bit more overlooked as an album by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Jeff Lynne produced it, which I'm a big fan of Jeff Lynne as well. ELO was, I do have I could have shared Time, Electric Light Orchestra, the Time album. I do have that on vinyl. I probably should have shared that one too, because that was a big one that inspired my songwriting. But I needed to put this one, share this album, because Tom Petty to me and the Heartbreakers are the best American band ever. Because any race, any religion, any economic class, whatever, like who doesn't like Tom Petty? It's just it's a type of music that you can play at baseball games, football games, basketball games, hockey games. He just writes songs that connect with people. I don't want to say they're simplistic songs because they're not. They're complicated. Maybe most of the songs on this album are only 3 chords or 4 chords, but it's still hard to play these songs, to really master them and sing along. They're not simple songs. Maybe he's not going the prog route with like weird time signature changes and bridges everywhere. And he's keeping it simple, but these aren't simple songs in any stretch of the imagination. I love this album. I wrote a screenplay called Rebels, which I talked about, which is kind of based on my childhood a little bit. And it's pretty much like a Stand By Me, Goonies type of movie. And this was the soundtrack that helped me write that screenplay. And I still think this is probably my favorite Tom Petty album. There's a lot I could pick, but this is the only one I bought on vinyl so far. And yeah, every song's good. Learning to Fly, King's Highway, Into the Great Wide Open, The Dark of the Sun. I think I included at least four of those songs in my screenplay. Yeah, I know people always say, don't put music in your screenplays, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't have been able to write the screenplay without this album, so I had to. It's just how it is, you know. And even if I couldn't use these songs, I didn't get permission to use these songs. If my screenplays ever got sold to a production company or they wanted to use a different song, I still had to share how this inspired the story. If it doesn't work out the way I see it in my head, then it doesn't work out. But I have to say what inspired me. I think Tarantino kind of has the same philosophy, right? He always has to listen to music when he's writing stuff. I think a lot of people are like that because you have to get outside of your own head, get outside of your own thoughts and ego and go somewhere else. And you know, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers takes you to good places to do that. Wildflowers, uh, Full Moon Fever. Yeah, he's the ultimate to me. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, the best American band. And all right, that's the last one. I probably said amazing, like at least in the double digits somewhere, probably 15 to 20 times. I think I said amazing more in the first one. So maybe I'm getting a little bit better with that. I don't know, something, it's like a brain tick. Um, like Chuck Knobloch, right? He couldn't, he had the, whatever that's called, he couldn't throw the first base or something. Some reason I say amazing like every other word. So I'm trying to be conscious of that fact. But yeah, that's it. I might make more videos later on this week or next week as lead up to my book coming out May 1st. But this is already way past 30 minutes, so I'm going to stop it here.